Have you, yes you, ever wondered how people retire at 50 or 55 years old when everyone always says that you can't touch your retirement accounts until you're 59 and a half years old? Well, the truth is there are a lot more options than most people actually realize. Whether you're planning to retire early or you're already retired, understanding how these different accounts work can make you plan better for retirement because each account has different rules, different tax treatment, and different levels of flexibility. Today, we're going to walk through some of the most common ways people access their money before they're 59 and a half years old and discuss when each strategy makes sense for you or your plan. I'm your host, Eli Freeman, a certified financial planner, and this is Data Brief, where we break down the data behind investing so that you can make more informed decisions based on facts and not your feelings. As always, let's look at the data. Let's start with the easiest and probably most used account of them all, the taxable brokerage account. If you ask me which account provides the most flexibility for someone who's considering early retirement, this is usually at the top of my list. Unlike retirement accounts, there are no age restrictions and no early withdrawal penalties, which creates a lot of flexibility. You can access your money whenever that you want. The only potential tax comes from any investment gains that you realize when you sell investments and the ongoing dividends. Even better, if you've owned those investments for more than a year, those gains switch into the long-term capital gains rates instead of your ordinary income rates. Long-term capital gains are typically a little bit lower than your income tax rates. We actually covered information on these accounts in a different data brief because capital gains usually aren't nearly as scary as people actually think. I'll link that video below. For most people, this account is heavily underutilized because an employer does not typically help you contribute to the account unless you work at a place that has stock-based compensation. I would highly recommend if you or a friend are looking at early retirement, take a look at your account structure and see if you have any money that's outside of a retirement plan to see how much access you have to the easiest account before age 59 and a half. The next option comes with significant flexibility restrictions. It's one that many people have never heard of, and that's something called a 72T. It's also known as substantially equal periodic payments, but that's a mouthful. So this allows you to access your money from retirement accounts before you're age 59 and a half without paying the 10% early withdrawal penalty from your 401k or IRAs. The catch is that it isn't very flexible. Once you start, you're generally committed to taking distributions for the longer of 5 years or until you reach age 59 and a half. If you change your mind too early, the IRS may go back and assess the penalties that you avoided along with the interest accrued. So this isn't something that you want to jump into without a plan. There are actually 3 ways that the IRS approves methods to calculate your annual distributions: the required minimum distribution method, the fixed annuitization method, and the fixed amortization method. I know it's a mouthful. So to show you how different these can be, I actually entered a hypothetical scenario into Fidelity's 72T calculator, assuming a 50-year-old with $1 million in a retirement account. Using the RMD method, the annual distribution was $27,624. The fixed annuitization method was $59,307, a big jump up, and the fixed amortization method was just a touch higher with $60,312. Think of a 72 like signing a contract with your future self. It can work really well, but future you doesn't get to wake up one morning and decide you'd rather do something different. The next strategy is the rule of 55. This is another exception to the early withdrawal penalty, but it's considerably more flexible than a 72T. If someone has a choice between the rule of 55 or the 72T, I will most likely recommend that they use the rule of 55. But every person's picture is different, so that is not a guaranteed statement. You have your own plan, talk with your own financial advisor or CPA. If you leave your employer during or after the year you turn 55, you may be able to take withdrawals from that employer's retirement plan without paying the 10% early withdrawal penalty. Ordinary income taxes still apply, but you're no longer locked into that rigid payment schedule of the 72T. You can take withdrawals only when you need them, change the amount from year to year, or even leave the account untouched if you want to. The biggest limitation is that this generally only applies to the specific retirement plan that your employer that you just left. Not every retirement account that you own, like your IRAs outside of your 401k. Think of the rule of 55 as the IRS finally saying, okay, you've waited long enough, we'll loosen up just a little bit, but not very much. Next, let's talk about Roth IRAs because they really are one of the most misunderstood accounts in retirement planning. Most people know that Roth IRAs grow tax-free, but many people don't realize that your contributions can be withdrawn at any time, at any age, completely tax-free and without penalty. That's because you've already paid taxes on those dollars before they went into the account. Those original contributions are referred to as your basis. What many people don't realize is that this concept can also apply to Roth conversions. So every Roth conversion creates its own conversion basis because you've already paid taxes when you've completed the conversion. Those converted dollars can generally be withdrawn without paying income tax again. However, this is fairly complicated. Each conversion has its own 5-year clock that generally must be satisfied to avoid the early withdrawal penalty. If you're under the age of 59 and a half, this is one of the reasons that Roth conversion strategies can be so powerful for people planning an early retirement. If you know that you will be retiring early, sometimes Roth conversions performed early enough can actually be a benefit to your plan to create different buckets that you can access at different times. Finally, let's talk about an option that isn't really a withdrawal at all, and I don't recommend very often except in niche circumstances. Sometimes the most tax-efficient way to access your money is by borrowing against assets that you already own. This could be a home equity line of credit, a loan against the cash value of a life insurance policy, or a securities-based line of credit, using your investment portfolio as the collateral that you loan against. Because you're borrowing instead of actually selling an asset, you generally aren't creating taxable income simply by receiving the loan proceeds. That doesn't mean that it's free money. Loans do have interest. There are some risks associated and repayment requirements, so this strategy isn't appropriate for everyone, but in certain situations, using assets as collateral can provide liquidity while allowing investments to remain invested, helping manage taxable income. The biggest takeaway of all of these strategies is this: early retirement is about finding one magic account. It's about understanding all of the tools that are available and knowing when each one could make sense for your plan. Some accounts offer maximum flexibility, others require careful planning, some create taxable income, and while others may not. The more you understand these rules, the more options that you have when it comes time to build your retirement income plan. As always, this isn't about finding loopholes, it's about understanding the rules that already exist and using them intentionally to better your finances. Whether you're hoping to retire at 50, 55, 59 and a half, or 65, knowing how each account works today can help you make better decisions long before you ever actually need the money. So if you enjoyed this video, I will link the video below explaining how taxable accounts work, how they're taxed, and why capital gains tax aren't actually as scary as they seem. Click that below if you're interested.